People struggling with money should not have children. I constantly see people with having access to proper resources, keep having kids. And then they keep complaining about lack of resources. And frankly speaking, I think it's not just a disservice to the kids involved, it's a crime against their potential future. I am not talking about people who met misfortune after having kids and are now struggling to make ends meet. It's for people who know they can't feed themselves properly or have a proper roof over their heads and they decide, yeah, let's have kids. Very poor idea. Purposely having children under strained financial circumstances is utterly selfish and abusive. I've never heard a logical argument against this. You have a legal right to have children, but that does not mean you are morally entitled to create and drag another human being through difficult times that you are well aware of. Not just because they will struggle, but now the child suffers because the parents can't afford clothes and food. They might end up moving from place to place because they can't afford rent, which means the child keeps changing schools. Constantly changing schools means grades suffer and loss of friends can have lasting psychological effects. 100% agree. Got a girl pregnant while in college. She worked part-time as did I. Thought surely she would realize how irresponsible having a kid would be at that point in our lives. Nope, here I am 4 years later, engaged to her, happily, and with a badass 4-year-old. Super grateful for my daughter and now fiancé, but am often disgruntled when doing the bills at the end of each month. All the money we could be putting in our savings/investing in our future is gone to daycare. Even more frustrating is that my fiancé now complains about not having money/how hard it is to have to work, go to school and be a mom. I have to bite my tongue and not say a todasso. Moral of my comment, this shouldn't be an unpopular opinion, but people think that kids are blessings when they really aren't. There are 7 billion people in this world, your kid is special to no one besides you. How is this unpopular? If you can't support children, don't have them. Don't make it the burden of society to care for them. My brother just got his girlfriend pregnant. He still lives off a couch. That being said, he seems pretty set on keeping it so far. I don't understand what he plans on doing. I so agree with you here. I have extended family members who were struggling after having one kid. They eventually got barely above water and then had another child. What were they thinking? And, this second child has special needs. They brought 2 lives into the world and are really unable to provide for them. This means, more likely than not, 2 lives that will be poor in resources, opportunity, and life quality. It's sad. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. How often will this unpopular opinion be posted? And pets? A lot of times I see pets kept in small cages/terrariums and the owners say they don't have enough money for a bigger one, or my favorite, that I should shut up unless I buy it for them. Shut up, Sarah, I'm not the one who bought the pet in the first place. Have you looked at the birth rates? This is basically what is happening. I'm interested in your specifics. You mentioned struggling with food and housing. Does that mean a parent living paycheck to paycheck that would struggle with bills if they got laid off, or a parent that struggles with affording the healthiest food options? If so, that's the entire lower middle class, and I think it's a bit much to insinuate that they've ruined their children's future. It's a complex issue either way. We can't reasonably expect poor people to stop having sex. Condoms won't prevent pregnancies entirely on a mass scale. Birth control requires prescriptions, which requires health insurance to be reasonably priced, and many schools don't take necessary steps to educate impoverished students on sex. Once you are pregnant, many states are taking steps to get rid of abortion rights. Then you're pregnant, and just put them up for adoption, right? Well, many kids don't get adopted and grow up in unimaginably horrible situations. Then on another hand, poor people in the United States are some of the richest in the world. I guess I grew up with parents that were poor. My dad worked tooth and bone to make ends meet without going into too much detail. I don't think poverty ruined my life, it showed me the value of hard work. I also like existing, lol. Either way, interesting opinion. I'm not sure if it's totally unpopular, but it's interesting. Welcome to the Middle East, baby. All the more reason that contraception and abortion should be made widely available and accessible. That's something that frustrates me often. I see so many people I went to high school with and family members who don't have jobs or barely have a living situation have kids again and joke about and talk like it's just this casual thing. I've been married a year and a half, been together 7 years. Right after we got married we were in a great financial spot, but we decided we wanted time by ourselves before we had a child. Then we both got put into horrible positions regarding work. It's frustrating because all we want is to start our family and we know we can't until things are sorted, but there's people having them like it's nothing. It just sucks to see. This idea sounds great until you really think about it historically. Imagine if during the Great Recession and Great Depression everyone struggling financially didn't have any kids. We'd have almost a decade gap of a birth rate that was effectively zero. Now you're probably thinking that's no big deal, but our economy needs continuing population growth or at least a constant level. No births for 5+ years results in an aging, declining population, which has long-term consequences for economic growth and recovering from recessions/depressions. I'm not even going to bother going into the issues this idea would cause if implemented. They include infrastructure, tax revenue, retirement, military power, etc. If you plan to lean on the government to financially assist you to raise a child, then you should not have a child. In a decent society, people would never be so poor that they are unable to have and raise children. But obviously there should be limits. In a society where the government literally pays breeders to have children, sadly, this will always be a thing. To the poorly educated, kids equals paycheck, and they don't understand the negative impact that having kids will have on them and the environment. 20 years ago my ex-brother and sister-in-law were still living with my ex's parents, mostly because they had a 4-year-old. They could probably have afforded their own place, but they really liked not paying rent and buying all the computers and high-tech toys they wanted. They decided to have another kid. It's the single most irresponsible thing they could have done. Her psychotic family was a big factor in why I got divorced. Raising a child to 18 takes about $250,000 in today's money. It's the same thing as buying a Lamborghini if you think about it. Same even with pets. They're way more expensive than people think. I rescued my dog, a large breed, and was not in the financial position to do so at the time. He ended up having to get 3 expensive surgeries, and I sold everything I owned of value and drained my account to get them for him. My situation bettered and so did his, but realistically I shouldn't have even taken on that responsibility. I couldn't even imagine to do that with a child. I dunno, I wouldn't be born then, and I'm glad I was. Really brave posting this incredibly unpopular opinion. This same fucking post is made damn near every week, lol. Again, I swear this unpopular opinion is posted like every week. This isn't even unpopular. This gets posted every week. So then, half the world should not have kids. Good. I hope you are also for raising the min wage, healthcare, and other such that would let people have enough money to raise kids. Billionaires fuck over poor people. Poor people shouldn't have children. This guy acts like having a baby is like buying a car. So you want to give better funding to Planned Parenthood so everyone has access to birth control and abortions, then right? Or maybe provide more support for kids so it doesn't matter how well off the parents are. Maybe lower living costs and increase minimum wages. If our ancestors had followed your opinion, 99% of us probably wouldn't even exist today. I can't really blame poverty-stricken families for having children. The sexual education in public schools is atrocious. Not to mention birth control costs money. Not much money, but choosing between condoms or dinner, I'm gonna go with dinner. The cost of an abortion is anywhere between $350 to $900. For a family that more than likely has no insurance, that's not really feasible. Not to mention abortion access is still being fought for. There are people outside of clinics who will berate and attack you for even going inside to ask questions. And many states are still actively trying to limit abortion access. Quite frankly, proper sexual education does come from privilege, and someone without money will not always have those same opportunities. Blame the system, not the family. Agreed, but as portrayed in Idiocracy, the very people who can't get ahead because they can't delay gratification can't get their shit together to use birth control, put off getting married, do without sex for any length of time, and sabotage themselves in numerous ways. The poor, as the Bible said, will be with you always. They shouldn't, but they have the right. Also, where would the rich get their cheap labor force from if the poor stopped reproducing? I'm sorry, but poor people in America really aren't struggling in the way you think they are. They got a car. They got a place to live. They got food, they got family. The only thing they really need to worry about is opiates if they're white, and violence if they're black. It's like your average Redditor has never seen a poor person in their life. Like most of them are actually fat because they literally eat so much cheap garbage. Their pantry is so full of variety it would make a 19th century king faint. Also, being poor isn't a very good predictor of a child's chance of having a successful future. It's actually to be expected that poor people will do better than their parents. The thing that maintains perpetual poverty isn't poverty itself. It's more like, fatherless in the black community. Or drugs.